My name is Tracy. I grew up in a household that couldn't be called wealthy. But somehow I managed to find a job and get married. My husband's name is Peter, and he works at a luxury hotel. I thought I would surely have a happy married life. Yet, I never imagined it would end like this. It's no exaggeration to say my family was poorer than average. Growing up in such a home, I never resented my parents. They always took me out to various places, sacrificing their own luxuries, and taught me about different cultures. I remember thinking whether my parents liked geography, but as a child, I also felt they were trying too hard just for me. I didn't want to burden them, so I decided to start working after graduating from middle school. My mother would say, "You should at least complete high school. It might be hard to find a job in the future." And my father would add, "That's right. We have enough to send Tracy to high school." Their words were truly comforting, but my desire to relieve my parents of their burdens was stronger. "I'll be fine. The sooner I start working, the sooner my salary will increase," I said, without any real certainty. However, as my parents said, there was no guarantee I could find a job anywhere. At that time, I had a friend who had moved from overseas during middle school. Her name was Maria, and like me, her family wasn't wealthy. Perhaps that's why we got along so well and always played together. Maria spoke broken English, but we could somehow communicate. Talking with her, I unknowingly learned Spanish. By the time I was in the third year of middle school, I could converse quite well in Spanish. This skill came in handy, and a certain travel agency hired me, valuing my ability to speak Spanish. Maria also started working after middle school, and gradually, we lost contact. But once I got the job, I worked relentlessly. I just needed to earn money. Time passed, and before I knew it, I was 26 years old. There was a lounge in a hotel I often used for work. It was a high-end hotel, but the lounge was comfortable, with reasonably priced snacks and a cafe menu. I used to have meetings with the staff there. One of the waiters working there was Peter. Since the hotel accommodated foreigners, he could speak Spanish too. I sometimes came there with foreign clients. Perhaps it was our ability to speak Spanish that resonated. Peter approached me, and our relationship began, leading swiftly to marriage. I never thought a girl from a poor family like mine could get married. It felt quite profound. Anyway, I was looking forward to starting a new and happy life. However, the reality turned out to be the exact opposite. When we decided to marry, Peter made a request. "If you are okay with it, I'd like us to live with my mother." He explained that his father had passed away a few years ago, and he was worried about his mother, Sophia, living alone. She was getting older and needed someone to look after her. At the time, I was a remote worker, so I was always at home. Peter probably thought it would be convenient for me to watch over his mother and manage the household. On the other hand, Peter often worked long hours and wasn't home much. With his limited days off, having me, a remote worker, at home seemed ideal to him. However, I couldn't immediately agree. When I had gone to greet his mother before our marriage, she had fallen silent upon hearing about my educational background. "Which university did Tracy graduate from?" When asked, I honestly replied, "No, I didn't go to college. I only finished middle school." Then she just looked at me silently for a while. It was clear from her expression that she was looking down on me. "What? You only finished middle school?" "Well," she said this while looking at me with disdainful eyes. Due to such an incident, I thought living together with Sophia might not go well. So, I casually mentioned this to Peter. "Peter, don't you think your mom doesn't think very highly of me?" When I asked this, Peter replied with a bit of a smirk. No, that's not the case. My mom trusts me, and she wouldn't have any bad feelings towards my wife. Hearing this, I reflected that maybe I was overthinking it. Peter also promised that if anything happened, he would speak to his mother. Believing it would be okay, I agreed to move in with his mother. However, living in Sophia's house turned out to be far from smooth. I was faced with reality. When Peter and I visited his mother would talk very kindly to him. "Peter, thank you. I'm so grateful that you're living with me." Peter would respond, "Of course. I knew it would be better for you." From my perspective, they seemed like a very close mother and son. However, Sophia was completely different with me, being very cold. "Oh, Tracy. Please make sure not to hold Peter back," she said expressionlessly, as if instructing a servant. I couldn't help but feel she was looking down on me. At that time, Peter came to my rescue, saying, "Don't worry, Tracy is working hard too." But I didn't miss the brief hardening of his mother's expression upon hearing this. I thought, if there's trouble in the future, I just need to tell Peter. I also believed that living together might help us understand each other better. After all, we're family, and I didn't want any strange tensions. With that mindset, we started our life living together. However, reality didn't seem to turn in a favorable direction. One time, while I was working on my computer as usual, Sophia suddenly entered my room and said, "Tracy, when are you going to clean my room? The cleaning should be done by 10 in the morning every day." She was a bit angry. I was confused, as this was the first time I heard such a rule. Sure, I agreed to do housework, but we hadn't discussed specifics. I thought it would have been better if she had told me kindly from the beginning. I have work too, and am not always free. But arguing wouldn't be mature, so I quickly wrapped up my work and said, "I'm sorry, I'll do it now," and started cleaning her room. Meanwhile, Sophia was just lazing around in the living room, watching TV and eating snacks. Peter was worried about her physical strength, but she seemed capable enough to clean her room. I had imagined she was struggling to walk, but she appeared to be in good health. And after I finished cleaning, she then ordered, "Now, please prepare dinner. I prefer light flavors. I won't be happy if it's too salty." She even instructed me to go buy groceries. I thought it was too early to start preparing, but decided to finish early so I could get back to work. However, when I returned from shopping, she was still lazing around. It was frustrating, but I held back and did as told. Maybe she was testing me. I believed she would understand eventually. That was what I hoped for. But such situations continued for months. At times, she would nitpick about things like the laundry being taken in 5 minutes late. And before I knew it, I ended up doing all the household chores in this house. But Sophia just lazed around as she pleased. Frankly, if she has the energy to criticize me, she should be able to do some housework. I started to worry that this lifestyle would begin to affect my own work. That would be the most troubling thing, so I decided to talk to Peter about it that night. Once Sophia had gone to bed, I spoke to him. "Peter, I think your mom really dislikes me. I'm getting tired of being constantly criticized." However, Peter just chuckled and said, "Come on, that can't be true. My mom is a kind person. There won't be any problem as long as Tracy doesn't do anything strange. Please try to get along with her." He didn't believe me at all. Maybe that's unavoidable. Sophia dotes on Peter in front of him and doesn't say anything to me. In fact, when Peter is around, she would even say, "Tracy, have some coffee and relax." But even knowing that, my patience is wearing thin with this lifestyle. I'm chased by household chores during the day and can only do my work at night. Honestly, my trust in Peter is starting to wane. If things don't improve, I might collapse from the strain. Then, at a time like this, Sophia said something unbelievable. Tracy, I'll be away from home for about a week during the Easter holiday. So please take care of the housework. When she suddenly said that, I asked, "Is something wrong?" She replied, "Peter told me, let's go on an overseas trip. He knows how much I love traveling abroad. I'm so excited for Easter holiday in 3 months." I was shocked, because Peter had never mentioned such a plan to me. And I was being left out, expected to stay home. I had to confirm this with Peter that night. When I did, he said, "Oh, my mom already told you? But Tracy, you're coming too, right?" There was a clear discrepancy in their stories. Sophia had lied to me. Even if Peter said that, I couldn't possibly enjoy a trip with her. In a somewhat emotional state, I told him, "I don't want to go. I definitely won't enjoy going with your mother." Then Peter got angry and retorted, "Tracy, what are you saying? Why are you still acting like a child? I can't forgive you for speaking ill of my mother. Reflect on it. I want to enjoy the trip too." I was utterly shocked. To think that he wouldn't believe me. Staying in this house was becoming nothing but painful. So, I decided to take action the next day to show Peter the truth. It was Peter's day off, and the 3 of us were having breakfast when I said to Sophia, "Sophia, you want to exclude me from the overseas trip, right?" I asked deliberately, and she responded as if admitting it. "Oh, did I say that? If Tracy wants to come, she can." But Peter interjected, "Tracy, don't you get it yet? Apologize to my mom. Why are you so confrontational? You're not a child anymore." I was stating the truth, so my desire to clear everything up was stronger. I really wanted Peter to understand. But before I could argue back, Sophia dealt me the worst insult. "But maybe it's best if Tracy just stays home. Tracy, going abroad is still too early for you. A woman with no education like you wouldn't understand the finer things. Besides, you just laze around at home every day, not doing any work. Do you even deserve to go abroad? You think so too, right?" I was genuinely shocked. She still thought I was unemployed. I explained my job during our introductions. I clearly explained my job, didn't I? When I countered, Sophia looked down on me, saying, "What job? Working from home? Don't make me laugh. You're just playing on the computer. I've been so annoyed seeing it every day. There's no way you can earn money like that. You're just stealing Peter's salary." I was infuriated by this. But before I could respond, she kept going. "I have Peter, and that's enough for me. He can speak Spanish and works at a famous hotel. There's no need for him to waste his earnings on a woman like you. Low-educated and unemployed. I want someone like you out of here as soon as possible." She just kept saying whatever she wanted, berating me. This should make Peter understand what I've been saying. I looked at Peter, expecting support, but his response was unbelievable. "Well, I can understand how my mom feels. Tracy, maybe you need to cool your head a bit." He said this to me as if he was fed up. At that moment, I made my decision. I couldn't stay with these 2 anymore. Sophia had told me to leave, but I wanted to confirm. "So, you really want me to leave?" She laughed and replied, "Of course. The sooner, the better. We don't need a bottom dweller like you here." So, I simply said, "Understood." I began preparing to move out. I said, "Bye," quickly to the 2 of them before leaving the house. As I was leaving, Sophia threw a parting shot. "Enjoy your poor life, as a bottom dweller should," laughing as she said it. Little did they know what was coming for them. 3 months had passed since I left the house. It was around Easter holiday. I received a call from Sophia. Tracy, I finally got through to you. What's going on? She sounded frantic. First, I said, I'm surprised you could call here. She replied, yes, I couldn't reach you. I thought you changed your number. So I called your parents for it. I had warned my parents. They might get a call from Peter or Sophia. If that happened, they were to redirect the call to this number. So, what happened? Frantically, she said. All these payment reminders are coming in. Help me, I didn't know. Well, that makes sense. That's because you haven't paid the utility bills, right? I stated the obvious, but Sophia was in a panic. I thought Peter was paying our living expenses. I never imagined Tracy was covering everything. Why didn't you tell me? I had no idea you were earning so much. By then, it seemed Peter had finally told her the truth. But it was too late for regrets. I had already established my own company by leveraging the know-how I gained from the travel agency I previously worked at. My company had been successfully accepted worldwide and was now earning $10 million. What surprised Sophia even more was Peter's income. Working at a famous hotel's lounge didn't mean high income. In fact, Peter was just a regular employee with a relatively low salary. Many people at the hotel spoke Spanish. Being able to speak it wasn't a big deal. It was impossible for his income to cover the living expenses of 3 people. In reality, Peter could barely manage his own expenses. So, it was foolish of them not to realize that I had been paying all the household expenses until the collection notices arrived. Furthermore, while listening to Sophia, a shocking fact came to light. The reason they wanted me to live with them wasn't to watch over her. Actually, she had been living off her husband's fortune. But she got blinded by a temporary influx of cash, indulging in luxuries, and eventually ran out of money. She then turned to Peter, thinking he earned well. But Peter knew he had a low income. He was also aware of my earnings to some extent, so he turned to me for help. Realizing this, I knew they were beyond help. But their problems didn't stop there. By the way, have you managed to make your card payments? When I asked this, Sophia suddenly raised her voice. Exactly. Both Peter and I have bills piling up. That's right, a few months after I moved in, credit card bills started arriving for both of them. The monthly charges kept increasing, and before we knew it, they amounted to a significant sum. It was clear they were living beyond their means. Peter's bills alone exceeded his salary. And Sophia, still not over her lavish spending habits, had accumulated debts, totaling over $20,000. What's more shocking was her saying, I thought a little debt would be taken care of by Peter. And Peter thinking, if things get tough, Tracy will handle it. I was appalled at their reckless dependency. It was beyond irresponsible, it was dangerous. So when Sophia said, so, Tracy, you'll handle this, right? With such audacity, I made my stance clear. After all you've said to me, you expect me to help now? There's no way I'm helping you. Then Peter, who apparently was there too, took the phone. Tracy. As my wife, you have a duty to help us. Figure something out, we can't pay these bills. But I didn't even want to entertain that thought. However, I did offer him a sliver of hope. So, do you want to come here? I might consider it if you do. To this, Peter excitedly replied. Oh, so you're going to let us live with you and sort out the money. All right, let's do that. Where's your house? I'll come right now. Seeing him so eager, I said. Well, if you can come here. I'm in Mexico right now, at my vacation home. Both Peter and Sophia were taken aback. What do you mean, Mexico? How can we afford to go there right now? They panicked. But I calmly said, "Didn't you plan an overseas trip for Easter holiday? Just stop by Mexico. Your mother will be delighted." "Wait, you got my number from my parents, right? Didn't you realize it was an international number?" I added. "And don't forget, this call is costing you. Long-distance calls can be quite expensive." Then, as a final blow, "If we get divorced, I'll consider helping with the money." Peter quickly agreed. "Okay, let's get a divorce for now." It seemed the debt outweighed his resolve. I told them I would bring the divorce papers when I returned to the US. A week later, I did just that. I got Peter to sign the divorce papers, and the divorce was finalized. He looked quite worn out. He must have been struggling these past few days. He even admitted he had been relying on my money for the overseas trip. But hearing this didn't surprise me anymore. They probably thought I would pay off their debts. But of course, I had no such intention. My suggestion was simple. They both needed to stop their luxury spending and work tirelessly. That way, they could eventually pay off their debts and manage a basic living. When Peter heard this, he protested. "Hey, this isn't what we agreed on. You were supposed to think about our debt." But I stood firm. "That's why I did think about it, a way for you to pay off your own debts. Good luck with that. When you can afford overseas trips again, I'll invite you to my Mexico home." With that, I left them to their fate. They're now working tirelessly from dawn to dusk, a fitting consequence for their past easiness. Meanwhile, I reunited with Maria, who had also built a house in Mexico. She had become a company president like me after graduating middle school and pursuing a global career. She invited her parents to live with her, and they were enjoying life together. I also invited my parents to live with me in Mexico. Now, I occasionally visit Maria's house. We're both content that we could be filial to our parents, encouraging each other as we continue to work hard.